Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video we're going to be taking a look at State of Decay 2's newest update, which was released on May 10th, known as Heart Attack or Update 33. I'm going to be doing a bit of a recap of what's new in this update if you're not familiar already, but for those that already know, I'll leave this video timestamped as well so you can skip past it to the next part of the video, where I'll essentially be talking about how it all plays out in practice and what my thoughts are on the update after some time spent playing over the last couple of days. If you do get something useful from this video or just enjoy the watch, please do consider dropping it a like or subscribing to the channel for more zombie games content just like this. So first things first, what's included in Update 33? Now this is just a bit of a recap, but if you want a full breakdown, I did a video on this not too long ago when the update was still in development, which I'll leave linked in the description for you if you want to dig a little bit deeper. Firstly, and perhaps the largest change of the update, plague hearts and infestations have been completely reworked. Plague hearts will now start in a dormant state and can be awakened by actions like making too much noise in the area claimed by said plague hearts, allowing screamers in their territory to alert zombies to your presence, or simply killing a lot of zombies when they know you're there. Similarly, you can avoid waking them by taking out zombies whilst they are unaware of you or generally being quiet. Once awakened, they will never become dormant again. Where infestations previously would pop up at random, now they are instead under a parent system with plague hearts. Once awakened, a plague heart will create infesting hordes that will head towards a building closer to your base and will begin to build in strength the longer it is left unattended to. They will splinter off into smaller infestations elsewhere and create siege sites to attack your base if they can get close enough to home. These siege sites can start sieges against your base, and this system replaces the sieges we were used to from former updates. And lastly, withstanding a siege can reward prestige points, which were formerly only available in the optional Daybreak Wave Defense mode. Now, the PTR essentially found from an abundance of feedback that plague hearts would create infestations very quickly and would soon become unmanageable, so that spawn rate for infestations has been slowed. And on top of that, another change since the PTR, taking out a plague heart that is considered the parent of an infestation will cause it to gradually wither, losing strength until it dissipates by itself. So essentially, rip out the heart and the rest falls. In a similar vein, taking out an infestation can be made easier by eliminating all of the screamers in that infestation. Every other zombie at the site will immediately die once the screamers are taken out. You can also intercept the infesting horde before it reaches the infestation site if you'd like to. Lastly, the more noise that your base is making, the faster infestations will grow and spread to other sites closer to home. Quieter bases will slow the rate they splinter off into more infestations, and it will take them longer to find your base. Outposts in State of Decay 2 can now be used as a way to protect your base, not just to dump supplies or provide certain bonuses back at home. You can build minefields that will take out zombies that wander into the area around the outpost, including infesting hordes or freaks like juggernauts or ferals. You can use infestation bait to draw zombies from nearby infestations over to the outpost in order to weaken the infestation themselves, or if you capture a cell tower, you can use the plague disruptor, which will greatly reduce the plague heart's sensitivity to actions that would otherwise wake them up. Lastly, of the major changes in Update 33 is that we can now use some radio commands to help us with some of these new infestations. You can use the radio and some fuel to have one of your survivors scout out the location of all infestations. You can also ask a survivor to take out an infestation for you as well. Of course, that survivor will be unavailable whilst they deal with that threat. I'd also heard rumblings of changes to the Haven device during the PTR, but having read through the official finalized patch notes for Update 33, there's actually nothing in there about the Haven device, so I'd be interested to hear from you guys if you've seen any changes to the Haven device itself following this update, and please do let me know in the comments if you've had a chance to see that in-game for yourself just yet. So that's just about it when it comes to the changes in this update. Again, if you want a full breakdown with all the details, you can see one of my previous videos for that, but moving on, how does it actually feel in practice? Well, one thing I will say is that veteran players will need to seriously think about their playstyle and be aware that you may need to change how you've been comfortable going about playing from this point on. It's going to be an adjustment. I know I personally went back into State of Decay 2 2 on the PTR and woke up a couple of play carts in no time, which put me on the back foot immediately. Now, if you're playing on higher difficulties especially, the worst thing you can do in the early stages is wake up a play cart. In the early stages of your game, you probably won't have explosives, molotovs, or even weapons to deal with a play cart or the infestations that it's going to send your way, and it won't be long before they start to become a real problem. So if you're new to the game or haven't been able to play this update yet on the PTR, I'd recommend staying outside of plague territory altogether until you can muster up some weaponry. In short, don't mess with a plague cart unless you're prepared to kill it. As for the rate that plague carts start up infestations and how easy the plague carts are to awaken, it's definitely been toned down a bit since the PTR, and for that I'm incredibly thankful. Yes, I know I play on the higher difficulties, but the general consensus from almost everyone playing the update across multiple skill levels and difficulties was that the infestations were too hard to deal with and ultimately became a chore. That has now mostly been remedied by the fact that plague carts are harder to wake, infestations are slower to spread, and lastly, we now get some unique loot from dealing with freaks or special infected types inside infestations. It's only a little bit of ammo or maybe some medical items, stuff like that, but it does make a difference when you're dealing with them regularly, and it's made the whole experience feel like much less of a chore and more of a rewarding goal to accomplish. This was one of my biggest gripes when it came to State of Decay 2 before this update. It didn't really feel like we had much of a purpose for taking out play carts other than we were told to do it to clear the map. Now they're a living organism that takes action against you, and that makes it feel like more of a necessity and gives you a reason to act against them in return. The outpost changes are also a fantastic addition to the game in my mind. That change has just landed really well. Previously, the goal was to try and place outposts a distance away from your base so that you could drop in some loot whilst out on a supply run, which is still a valid way to use them, of course, but more so now you'll likely want to put them between your chosen base and play carts to intercept infesting hordes as well. They've been changed from a simple loot drop point to having a couple of different uses, and as such, you might find you're switching them around when you move base locations, dealing with play carts or digging into new territory for looting purposes. Now, onto the new sieges. This is something that in the previous version of State of Decay would be triggered by noise that your base created. That has now been reworked, as noise now determines how quickly infestations build in severity and how quickly they find your base, like I mentioned earlier. So now, sieges are caused when infestations get close enough to your base to set up a siege site and launch a direct attack. But that's not it. The developers have made this much more of a dynamic event than the sieges we're used to, and I really enjoyed testing this out for myself in practice. Rather than the siege just starting, they'll actually form a sort of perimeter around your base, and you can either take the fight to them, try to intercept them on the way in, or just let them assault the base and fight them all at once. It's also really ominous seeing them all work in coordination and the attack beginning launched by all of the screamers letting out their battle cry at once. Not to mention that I really appreciate getting prestige points from sieges now. Just means I'm not forced to do Daybreak if I don't want to. I know a lot of people don't really enjoy that game mode, and whilst I do enjoy taking some time out from a regular game and spinning up a round or two of the wave defense mode, it's not for everyone, and this feels like a really good alternative for that. So that's just about it for this one, but I'd be really interested to know what you guys think that have been playing the update so far. Let me know down in the comments how you felt about the update, what you found from your time spent in game, and whether you'd recommend it to people that have the game and are maybe thinking about coming back to give it a try. I want to give a very special shout out and a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for backing the channel. Seriously, couldn't do it without you guys. And if you want to join them and get access to some game servers and your name in the credits of my videos, you can find a link down in the description. Thanks folks, and I will see you all in the next one.